Unlock your movie talk. English for film fans. Introduction. You just saw a great movie or a cool TV show. You have so many thoughts and feelings. You want to tell your friends about the surprising turns in the story, the great acting, or the amazing sights. But when you try to explain, the right words don't come. You can say, "It was good," but you can't really say why it was so special. It's like having a wonderful song in your head but no way to play it. What if you could find the perfect words to share that feeling? What if you could make talking about movies fun? Most of us learn English for daily things, like buying food or asking for directions. That is important. But movies and TV shows have their own special way of speaking. This language helps us talk about stories, the people in them, and how the show looks and feels. This book will help you learn that language. Our simple goal is this. When you learn special English words for movies and TV, you will do more than just watch. You will start to really talk about them. You will understand stories better, feel closer to the characters, and enjoy the art of making movies more. Think about it. You wouldn't talk about a cooking show the same way you talk about a nature show, right? Movies and TV deserve their own special, fun way of being talked about. This special language we are talking about is called media discourse English. It is the words and phrases we use when we chat about movies, TV shows, and anything we see on a screen. It is not just about knowing what the characters say. It is about knowing how we talk about what they say and do. For example, instead of just saying a story was interesting, you can learn to talk about a plot twist that surprised you, or how the story's path kept you watching. When you talk about characters, you can say more than "he was nice." You can talk about if they are the main person in the story, or if they are complicated and have deep reasons for what they do. And when a movie looks beautiful, you can learn to describe the look of the film, how the camera angles were used, or the effect of the lights. These specific words help you say exactly what you mean and understand others better. They are the way to enjoy things more and have better talks. So, what will this do for you? Remember when you couldn't find the right words? This book will give them to you. You will feel more sure of yourself when talking with friends or online. You will be able to explain why a movie made you laugh, cry, or think. You will start to see and understand movies and TV shows in a new way, noticing things you didn't see before. Best of all, you will connect with other people who like movies in a better, more real way. You will go from just watching to being a real part of talking about movies. In the next parts, we will explore this exciting language together. We will learn how to talk about everything from exciting story moments and interesting characters to the art of making movies. We will use examples from movies and shows you know and like to make learning easy and fun. Are you ready to speak the language of movies? Are you ready to talk better about movies? Let's begin this journey. 1. Learning English with movies and TV shows. I'm your media linguist, and I have a fun secret to share. Your favorite movies and TV shows are like special classrooms that can help you learn English really well. When you watch something you love, you're already doing things that help you learn. You hear different voices, see new places, and feel what the characters feel. It's not like boring schoolwork. It's an exciting adventure. And the best part? We can use this adventure to learn media discourse English, the special language we use to talk about the stories we see on screen. Movies and TV. Your fun English classroom. Why are movies and TV shows great places to learn English? Because they have real, everyday English. You hear people talk like they do in real life, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, with different sounds and feelings. It's a whole world of language right in front of you. A book might give you simple sentences like "the cat sat on the mat." But movies show you how people really talk. If a character is surprised, they don't just say "I am surprised." They might gasp, say whoa, or no way. You learn not just the words, but also the feeling behind them. This makes learning fun and easy to remember. When you watch, you see words used in a story. A character might explain a problem, argue with someone, or share a happy moment. This is called context. It helps you understand why certain words are used and how they fit together. This is the main idea of media discourse English, understanding the language that makes stories exciting. Building your movie talk toolbox. As you watch more, you'll start to see things happen the same way often. You'll learn words and phrases used to talk about movies and TV. This is your movie talk toolbox, and it gets bigger with every episode you watch. Let's talk about the story itself. Movies have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Sometimes, the story takes a surprising turn. We have special words for this. If something unexpected happens that changes everything, we call it a plot twist. Think of that moment in The Sixth Sense when you realize Bruce Willis's character is well, you know. That was a huge plot twist. Then there's the climax. This is the most exciting part of the story, where everything builds up. It's the big moment of action or feeling before the story ends. In Avengers: Endgame, the big fight against Thanos is the climax. And what about the end? Sometimes, a show ends and you really want to know what happens next. That's called a cliffhanger. Think of the end of a season of Stranger Things, where you wonder if your favorite characters are safe. It's not just about the story, though. Characters make us connect with movies. We have words for them too. The main character, the one the story is mostly about, is called the protagonist. Think of Harry Potter. He's the protagonist of his story. Then there's the antagonist, who is usually the bad guy or the main problem for the protagonist. Voldemort is Harry's antagonist. Sometimes, characters change a lot during the story. They learn new things, grow, and become different people. This journey of change is called a character arc. A character might start out shy, but by the end of the movie they are brave. That's a character arc. We can also talk about how the movie looks. The way the camera is used, the lights, the colors, all of this is called cinematography. Good cinematography makes a movie look beautiful and helps tell the story. Think of the beautiful, colorful scenes in La La Land. That's amazing cinematography. There's also something called mise en scene. This sounds fancy, and it is. But it's simple. It means everything you see on the screen. The clothes, the sets, the things characters hold, how the actors stand. It's like the director is painting a picture with all these things. In a scary horror movie, the mise en scene might use dark colors and creepy decorations to make you feel scared. Finally, there's editing. This is how the different parts of the movie are put together. Fast editing can make an action scene feel exciting. Slow editing might make you feel calm or sad. The way a movie is edited can totally change how you feel. All these words, plot twist, climax, cliffhanger, protagonist, antagonist, character arc, cinematography, mise en scene, editing, are part of our Media Discourse English Toolbox. The more you watch, the more you'll hear these words used, and the easier it will be for you to use them too. Deeper understanding, reading between the lines. Learning English with movies and TV shows does more than teach you new words. It helps you understand the hidden meaning in what you're watching. You start to notice small clues, understand jokes, and know why characters act the way they do. Have you ever watched a scene and thought, why did they say that? Or what did that look mean? Movies and TV shows have many of these small hints. By paying attention to what people say and what you see, you begin to understand why characters do things, the main ideas of the story, and even jokes that might be from a certain place. This is where Media Discourse English is really useful. It's not just knowing the words, It's understanding the slight differences in meaning. Nuance means small differences in meaning or feeling that can change how you understand something. For example, someone might say that's interesting in a way that really means I don't believe you at all. Learning to catch these nuances by watching and listening is a big step to speaking English well. You also start to understand how stories are made. You can see how the director uses different camera angles to make a character seem strong or weak. You notice how the music changes to make you feel happy or sad. This helps you enjoy filmmaking more and gives you more to talk about. Practicing your skills. Listening and speaking power up. Watching movies and TV shows isn't just for your ears and eyes. It's a great way to practice speaking English. First, there's active listening. This means really focusing on what people are saying, not just letting the words go by. When you try to understand a new movie or show, you'll listen more carefully. You'll try to catch every word, every phrase. This is great practice for your listening. Then you can copy. Have you ever heard a line from a movie and wanted to say it too? That's a great way to practice how you say words and how you speak. You can stop the movie and try to say the line just like the actor. It might feel a little funny at first, but it works very well. Once you're good at listening and copying, you can start talking. This is where media discourse English really helps. Imagine you just finished watching your favorite show. You want to tell your friend about it. Instead of just saying, "It was good," you can now say, "Wow, that was an amazing episode. The climax was so exciting, and I didn't see that plot twist coming at all." You can also talk about the characters. I really felt for the protagonist this episode. She's going through so much, and her character arc is really changing in an interesting way. I'm not sure how the antagonist will be stopped. Even talking about how the movie looks can be fun. The cinematography in that scene was beautiful, wasn't it? And the way they used the mise-en scene in the villain's house really made it feel creepy. These talks don't have to be perfect. The goal is to share your thoughts. The more you practice using the media discourse English you're learning, the more natural it will become. Connecting with stories and characters, the heart of it all. The best part of learning English with movies and TV shows is feeling more connected to the stories and characters you love. When you understand the language, you understand the heart of the film. Think about a character you really like. Maybe they are brave, kind, or funny. When you can understand what they say, their struggles, and their wins in English, you feel closer to them. You understand their personality, their hopes, and their fears much better. This feeling makes watching the movie much more enjoyable. It's like looking at a beautiful painting and understanding the story the artist is telling with their colors. When you have the words to describe what you see and feel, the art comes to life. I remember when I first started watching British TV shows. At first, the accents and some of the slang were hard. But I really loved the characters and the funny things they did. So I kept watching. I used subtitles, then I tried without them. I started noticing how they use certain phrases, like brilliant or fancy a cuppa. I even started using them myself when I talked about the show with other fans. It felt great to be part of that talk, to share my thoughts and understand theirs, all because I was learning the language of the show. It wasn't just watching anymore. I was experiencing it fully. This is the power of media discourse English. It changes you from someone who just watches to someone who is involved. You're not just seeing stories, you're understanding them and even talking about them with others. This makes watching movies not just fun, but also very helpful for your English journey. Now that we know how watching movies and learning media discourse English work well together, the next step is to learn the tools and ways to actively use this great learning method. We'll start by learning the important words that help us talk about the main part of any film, its story. 2. Talking about movie stories. When you watch a movie or a TV show, lots of things are happening. There's a story, right? And that story is like the engine that makes it all go. But sometimes, when someone asks, "What did you think of the movie?" you might just say, "It was good," or "I didn't like it." That's fine to start, but imagine how much more fun it would be if you could explain why you liked it or didn't like it. What if you could talk about the story itself in a way that makes your friends nod and say, "Oh yeah, I see what you mean"? That's where our special movie talk English, what we call media discourse English, comes in. It's like having a secret key to unlock deeper talks about the stories we love. Let's start with the basics, how to talk about what happens in a movie. It's more than just listing events. It's about understanding the journey the story takes you on. Beyond what happened, describing the plot accurately. Think of a movie's plot as a path. It starts somewhere, goes through interesting places, faces challenges, and eventually reaches an end. To talk about this path, we need some special words. The main person in the story, the one we usually follow and cheer for, is called the protagonist. In Star Wars, Luke Skywalker is the protagonist. The force that stands against the protagonist, the one causing trouble, is the antagonist. Darth Vader is a classic antagonist. The big problem or struggle in the story is the conflict. Luke's conflict is with the Empire and Darth Vader. Every good story needs a beginning that pulls you in. This is often called the inciting incident. It's the moment when something happens that kicks off the main story. For Luke, it might be finding Princess Leia's message. If the story has smaller, separate stories happening alongside the main one, those are subplots. Maybe Han Solo and Leia's growing relationship is a subplot. Sometimes, a movie hints at things that will happen later. This is called foreshadowing. A dark cloud appearing before a sad event is a simple example. In movies, it could be a character mentioning a danger they later face. Finally, the story has to end. The big, exciting moment where everything comes to a head is the climax. This is usually the most intense part, where the conflict is directly faced. For Luke, it's fighting Darth Vader and destroying the Death Star. After the climax, the story wraps up. This is the resolution, where the loose ends are tied up. So, instead of saying, "The movie started, then there was a fight, and then it ended," you could say, "The story kicks off when the protagonist, Luke Skywalker, discovers a hidden message that pulls him into a galactic conflict. He faces a powerful antagonist, Darth Vader, and the main conflict is the fight for freedom against an evil empire. There are also interesting subplots, like the growing romance between Han and Leia. The film uses foreshadowing to hint at future dangers. The climax involves a daring space battle, and the resolution sees the rebels achieve a significant victory. See how much more interesting that sounds? You're not just saying what happened, but you're using words that describe how the story is built. Now, how do we explain why these events are important? This is where we move from just describing to analyzing. To show importance, we use phrases that explain the effect of an event. Instead of "Luke got a lightsaber," you can say, "Receiving his father's lightsaber was a very important moment for Luke, connecting him to his past and giving him the tool he needed for the coming battles." The word important means very significant. You can also say, "This event was necessary for his growth," meaning it was needed for him to develop. You can also explain the results. The antagonist's betrayal had bad results for the hero's plan. This shows that the betrayal didn't just happen, it caused big problems. When you talk about the plot, you can also talk about how the story is told. Is it a straightforward path, or does it jump around? Understanding narrative structure, the backbone of the story. The way a story is put together is called its narrative structure. The most common way is linear, meaning it happens in order, from beginning to end, like a straight line. But movies don't always do this. Sometimes, a story might jump back in time. This is called using flashbacks. A character might remember something from their past, and we see that memory as a scene. This is different from the main story happening in time order. Some stories have parallel storylines. This means two or more stories are happening at the same time, often connected in some way. Think of a movie where we follow a detective solving a crime now, and then we also see scenes from the past that explain how the crime happened. And sometimes, the person telling us the story can't be trusted. This is called an unreliable narrator. They might be lying, mistaken, or have a memory problem. This makes you question everything you're seeing, which can be very exciting. Knowing these terms helps you discuss how the story is presented. You can say, the film uses a lot of flashbacks to explain the character's past, or the parallel storylines were well balanced, keeping me interested in both plots. If a story jumps around a lot, you might say, the non-linear structure was a bit confusing at first, but it made the ending more surprising. Understanding the structure also helps you talk about pacing. Pacing is how fast or slow the story moves. A fast pace often means lots of action and quick scenes. A slow pace might mean more time spent on character feelings or building atmosphere. You could say, the pacing in the first half was a bit slow, but it picked up a lot in the second part. The second part refers to the middle part of a three-part story structure. Key plot devices and tropes. The storytelling toolkit filmmakers have a whole toolbox of tricks to make stories interesting. These are called plot devices and tropes. Knowing their names helps you talk about them precisely. One of the most exciting is a plot twist. This is a surprise ending or a sudden change in the story that you didn't see coming. It makes you rethink everything you thought you knew. For example, in The Sixth Sense, the big reveal about Bruce Willis's character is a famous plot twist. A red herring is something that is meant to mislead you. It's like a false clue designed to make you think something is important when it's not. In a detective story, a suspect who seems very suspicious but turns out to be innocent is a red herring. A MacGuffin is an object or goal that the characters are chasing. It's very important to the characters, but its actual nature or purpose might not be that important to the audience. Think of the briefcase in Pulp Fiction or the ring in The Lord of the Rings. We know the characters need it, but we don't always need to know exactly why it's so powerful. Sometimes, a story can feel stuck, and then something happens that solves all the problems very suddenly and conveniently. This is called Deus ex machina, which is Latin for God from the machine. It's often seen as a weak way to end a story because it feels like the writer couldn't figure out a natural solution. And we all know the feeling of waiting for the next episode or the next movie in a series. When a story ends at a very exciting or uncertain moment, leaving you wanting more, that's a cliffhanger. Now, how do we talk about whether these devices work well? You can say a plot twist was brilliantly done or masterfully hinted at if it felt earned and surprising. But if it felt out of nowhere, you might say it was not believable or felt added on. You could say, the plot twist was completely unexpected and changed how I saw the whole movie, or I felt the ending relied a bit too much on a deus ex machina. It didn't feel earned. If a MacGuffin is used well, it drives the plot forward effectively. But if it's just there without a clear purpose, you might say, the MacGuffin felt a bit pointless. When something is a red herring and it works, it makes the mystery more engaging. If it doesn't work, it can feel frustrating. You might say, the red herring was a clever distraction, or the red herring didn't fool me for a second. These terms give you the power to discuss not just that something happened, but how well it was presented and how it made you feel as an audience member. Analyzing story themes and messages. what the story is really about. Beyond the events and the structure, every good story has something deeper to say. These are the themes. Themes are the big ideas that the movie explores. They can be about love, loss, courage, friendship, fairness, or many other things. For example, The Lion King explores themes of responsibility, family, and the circle of life. To Kill a Mockingbird deals with themes of racial unfairness, childhood innocence, and moral courage. When you talk about themes, you're discussing what the story is really about. You can say, the film explores the idea of making up for mistakes, meaning it looks at how someone can be forgiven or make up for past wrongs. Or, it's a powerful statement on social unfairness, meaning the movie is speaking out against unfairness in society. You can also discuss the film's message or its lesson. What lesson does the story want to teach us? You might say, the movie raises questions about the cost of war, or it suggests that true happiness comes from within. Connecting with themes and messages is what makes movies stick with us long after the credits roll. It's what turns a simple watch into a thought-provoking experience. When you can discuss these deeper meanings, your conversations become much richer. You're not just talking about characters and events, you're talking about the ideas that connect us all. Let's imagine our friend, Alex, who usually just says it was okay after watching a movie. Alex recently watched a film about a young woman who leaves her small town to chase her dreams in a big city. Before, Alex might have said, it was okay. She went to the city and got a job. But now Alex has learned some media discourse English. Alex can say, the movie's protagonist is a young woman who dreams of being a musician. The inciting incident is when she gets accepted into a music school in the city. Her main conflict is balancing her dreams with the pressures of city life and her own doubts. The film really explores the theme of ambition versus staying true to yourself. I thought the pacing was good. It felt like her journey progressed naturally. There was one moment, a plot twist, where her old friend from home showed up, which really challenged her. It wasn't a deus ex machina, but it felt like a significant turning point. Overall, it's a great statement on pursuing your passion. That's a huge difference, isn't it? Alex is not only describing what happened, but also analyzing the story's structure, its themes, and how well its plot devices worked. This is the power of media discourse English. Once we can confidently explain the details of a movie story. 3. Discussing characters in shows. Movies and TV shows are more than just exciting stories and pretty pictures. They are also about the people in them, the characters. These characters are the heart of the story. They make us laugh, cry, cheer, and sometimes feel annoyed. When we can talk about these characters using the right English words, we can understand them and connect with them better. This is where learning English for talking about media really helps, especially when we talk about the amazing people we see on screen. Think about a character you really like, or one you don't quite understand. Why do you feel that way? It's usually because of their personality, what they want, how they act, and how they change during the story. Learning how to describe these things in English can make your movie talks much more interesting. It's like having a secret way to have deeper talks. Let's start with how to say who a character is. We use special words called adjectives. Some characters are brave, meaning they are not scared of danger. Others might be cowardly, which is the opposite. They get scared easily. We might see a character who is very witty, meaning they say clever and funny things quickly. Then there are characters who are brooding, always looking serious and maybe a bit sad. Sometimes, a character is very ambitious, meaning they want to succeed or gain power very much. But it's rare for a character to be perfect. Most of them have flaws, meaning they have weak spots or make mistakes. For example, imagine a detective who always solves crimes. We might say she is sharp-witted and determined. But maybe she also has trouble trusting people, making her suspicious. This mix of good and bad things is what makes a character feel real and interesting. And you can say, I found her very driven, but her stubbornness sometimes got in the way. You are having a much more detailed talk than just saying she was good. These describing words are the start. But to truly understand a character, we need to ask, why do they do what they do? This is about what makes them act, and what their goals are. What do they want? What are they scared of? Sometimes, a character's actions are because they want revenge. Maybe someone hurt them or their family, and all they can think about is getting back at them. Other characters might be seeking redemption. This means they did something wrong before and are trying to make it right, to show they are good people. When you say what a character's main goal is, you are telling us what they are trying to achieve. For instance, his main goal is to protect his family, or her main goal is to find the lost treasure. What they truly want might be different from what they say they want. A character might say they want power, but maybe, deep down, they really want love or to be accepted. This difference between what's on the outside and what's on the inside often makes a character very interesting. Think about a character who always seems strong and in control. You might say, he acts like he wants to be in charge of everyone, but I think what he really wants is to feel safe. This shows you are thinking deeply about what's inside them. Let's look at an example. In the show Breaking Bad, Walter White starts as a quiet chemistry teacher. His first reason for acting is to take care of his family after he finds out he has cancer. But as the story continues, his reasons for acting change. He becomes driven by ego and a wish for power. His goal changes from taking care of his family to becoming a famous drug boss. Understanding this change, this shift in what makes him act, is key to talking about how his character grows. We can say, Walter White's story is a strong example of how wanting too much can change you for the worse. He started with a good goal, but his ego took over. Now, characters don't just exist alone. They talk to others, and these connections are a big part of any story. Learning to talk about how characters connect is another important part of learning English for media. We can say characters have a complex relationship. This means their connection is not simple, it has good times and bad times, maybe with not understanding each other or having hidden feelings. Do they have a strong bond? This means they are very close, like best friends or a loving family. A bitter rivalry describes a relationship where two characters really dislike each other and often fight. And then there's unrequited love, which is when one person loves another but the other person doesn't love them back. Think about how two friends act in a funny show. You might say their friendship is so funny because they always make fun of each other, but you can see they have a strong bond and would do anything for each other. Or think about a serious show where two characters always argue. You could say they have a bitter rivalry, but deep down, you can feel a strange kind of respect. These words about relationships help us explain the feelings between characters. They let us say more than just, they know each other, and explain how they are connected. Perhaps the most exciting part of talking about characters is talking about how they change over time. This is called their character arc. Characters who change a lot undergo significant development. This means they grow and change as a person. Sometimes, this change is so big, it's like a complete turnaround. A character who was once shy might become confident, or a good person might become bad. We can also say that a character becomes more hardened. This often happens when they go through many hard times and stop showing their feelings as much. On the other hand, a character might have a tragic descent. This is when they start out in a good place, but slowly become bad. often because of their own choices or what happens to them. Let's use an example. Think about Elizabeth Bennet from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. When we first meet her, she is smart and funny, but she also judges people quickly. She decides Mr. Darcy is bad based on her first impression and what others say. This is a key part of who she is at first. She has a flaw, she is prejudiced. Throughout the story, through different events and talks, Elizabeth starts to see Darcy in a new way. She learns that her first judgments were wrong. This is her character arc. She undergoes significant development. By the end of the book, she has gotten over her prejudice and learned to see beyond how people look. We can talk about this by saying, Elizabeth Bennet's journey is interesting because she starts out so sure of herself, but she learns to be more open-minded. Her character arc shows a great growth in understanding. Being able to follow and talk about a character's journey is very rewarding. It shows we are not just watching a story, we are understanding its human heart. Now, how do we actually share our thoughts about these characters? This is where we get to say our personal feelings and what we think. Sometimes, we really empathize with a character. This means we understand their feelings and can imagine ourselves in their situation. We feel for them. On the other hand, we might find what they do frustrating. This happens when a character makes choices we don't understand or agree with, and it makes us feel impatient or annoyed. We might say a character is compelling. This means they are so interesting and grab our attention that we can't stop watching them, even if they aren't always nice. Or we might just say, I couldn't stand them. This is a direct way to say we really dislike them. Let's think about Walter White again. Many people watching felt a mix of feelings about him. We might say, I empathized with Walter's first situation, his strong wish to help his family. But as he became more cruel, I found his actions more and more frustrating. Then, we could add, even though he made terrible choices, he was a compelling character because his change was so big. The questions we've looked at are very important for understanding characters better. The first one asks, what English words and phrases are most useful for describing a character's basic personality and their inner struggles? We have talked about many of these, words like brave, cowardly, witty, brooding, ambitious, flawed, suspicious, stubborn. For inner struggles, words like doubt, guilt, fear, ambition, pride, insecurity are important. We can say a character is torn between two choices or battling their inner demons. This is how we create a detailed picture, going beyond simple descriptions. For example, instead of saying he was sad, we can say he was plagued by guilt over what he did before, and this inner turmoil made him quiet. The second question is, how can we use English to explain a character's reasons for acting and understand their actions, even if we don't agree with them? This is where we use phrases like, he was driven by a need for control, her actions came from a deep feeling of not being good enough, he believed he was doing the right thing, even though it was wrong. We can also use phrases that show we understand without agreeing. While I don't agree with how he did things, I can see why he felt he had no other choice, or her reason for acting was clear, to survive. This lets us look at characters closely and thoughtfully, respecting their choices in the story, even when those choices are not good. By learning the language to talk about characters, their traits, their reasons for acting, their relationships, and how they change, we get a deeper appreciation for the human side of stories. Being able to break down personalities and reasons for acting is very important. It's the key to understanding why characters act the way they do, and it naturally leads us to think about the bigger story parts that shape these characters' journeys. When you can talk about a character's flaws, their inner conflict, or their desire for acceptance, you are not just watching a movie, you are taking part in its deeper meaning. You are becoming a more active and interested fan of movies, ready to share your thoughts and connect with others who love stories as much as you do. This is the power of learning English for media, bringing the people on our screens to life in our conversations. 4. Describing cinematography. When I watch a movie, especially a beautiful one, my first thought is often, "That looked amazing." It's like seeing a wonderful painting. But when the movie ends and I want to tell my friends about it, I want to explain why it looked so good. This is where talking about cinematography becomes important. Cinematography is simply how the movie is made to look. It's about how the camera sees things, how light falls on objects, and how everything is placed within the picture. The person in charge of this, the director of photography, uses these visual tools to tell the story, not just with words. Before I learned about this, I'd just say, the movie was pretty. Now, I know there's much more to say. Let me tell you about a film called The Lighthouse. It's in black and white and looks very old. At first, I just thought, okay, black and white. Serious mood. But as I watched more closely, I saw how the black and white was used. The dark areas were very deep, and the light was very strong, almost like a bright spotlight. This made me feel trapped, like I couldn't breathe, and a little scared, just like the people in the movie. It wasn't just pretty, it was showing me their loneliness and their confusion. This is the power of understanding visual language. It helps you move from "it looked good" to explaining how. The look of the movie created a feeling of intense pressure through its strong light and dark contrasts and its feeling of being in a small space. So, let's learn how to talk about these visual choices. More than "it looks good." Words for what we see. It's easy to like how a movie looks, but to really talk about it, we need more than just good or pretty. We need words to describe the specific choices the filmmakers made. Think of it like describing food. You don't just say it tasted good. You say it was flavorful, a bit hot, smooth, or crunchy. Let's start with lighting. Light is very important. It can make a scene feel happy, sad, scary, or mysterious. High-key lighting. This means the scene is very bright. There are not many dark shadows. Think of a happy comedy or a cartoon for kids. Everything looks clear and cheerful. For example, in a scene where people are happy, high-key lighting makes it feel open and joyful. Low-key lighting. This is the opposite. It's dark with many shadows. This is often used in scary movies or mysteries to create suspense or a feeling of unease. When you see a character mostly in shadow, it can make you wonder what they are thinking or what they might do. In The Lighthouse, the low-key lighting was a big reason it felt so unsettling. Chiaroscuro pronounced chiaroscuro. This is a fancy word, but it's really just a stronger version of low-key lighting. It means there's a big difference between bright and dark areas. Think of old paintings where one light source shines brightly on a face while the rest is in deep shadow. This style is often used to create drama and show a character's strong emotions. Now let's talk about the camera. How the camera is placed and how it moves also greatly affects how a movie looks. Camera angles. High-angle shot. The camera looks down at the person or thing. This can make them look small, weak, or helpless. Imagine a child looking up at a tall adult. The adult seems very powerful. A high-angle shot does something similar. Low-angle shot. The camera looks up at the person or thing. This can make them look powerful, strong, or even scary. Think of a superhero looking down at the city from a tall building. The low angle makes them seem very impressive. Eye-level shot. This is like looking at someone straight on, at their eye level. It feels normal and balanced. It's often used to create a feeling of connection or to make things seem real. Camera movement. Pan. The camera turns left or right from one spot, like your head turning. This is often used to follow someone moving or to show a wide view of a place. Tilt. The camera tilts up or down from one spot, like nodding your head. This can be used to show something above or below. Dolly shot. The camera moves forward or backward or sideways on wheels. This creates a smooth, flowing movement. A dolly shot moving closer to a character can make you feel closer to them or build excitement. Crane shot. The camera is on a crane and can move up, down, and sideways, often high above what's happening. This gives a large, sweeping view like seeing a whole battlefield or a city from the sky. And what about how things are arranged in the picture? That's shot composition. Rule of thirds. Imagine dividing your screen into 9 equal parts with 2 lines going across and 2 lines going up and down. The rule of thirds suggests placing important things along these lines or where they meet. It often makes a picture look more balanced and interesting. Symmetry. When the left and right sides of the picture look like mirror images of each other. This can create a feeling of order, peace, or even strangeness, depending on the situation. Leading lines. Lines within the picture like roads, fences, or rivers that guide your eyes towards something specific you should look at. Finally, color itself is a powerful tool. Color palette. The range of colors used in a film. Some films use bright, strong colors to feel energetic, while others use soft, less bright colors to feel more serious or historical. Warm colors, reds, oranges, yellows can feel comfortable or passionate, while cool colors, blues, greens, purples can feel cold or sad. The power of the shot. What we see and how we feel. Think about how a photographer chooses what to put in their picture. Filmmakers do the same thing with their cameras and how big or small they show us something, or the shot type, tells us a lot. Let's imagine a scene where a character is feeling very sad. An extreme close-up ECU on their eye, with a tear falling, would immediately show us how heartbroken they are. We are forced to look only at that one detail of their pain. It's very intense and personal. A close-up CU on their face would show their whole sad expression. We can see their mouth, their eyes, their eyebrows. It's still very focused on their feelings. A medium shot MS, showing them from the waist up, might show their sadness, but also how they are. Holding their body. Are they bent over? Are they looking down? This shot gives us a bit more information about how they are standing and presenting themselves. A long shot LS, or wide shot WS, would show the character in their surroundings. If they are sitting alone in a large, empty room, this wide shot emphasizes how lonely and isolated they are. The sadness is still there, but now we also understand the feeling of being small and alone in a big world. Each of these shot types changes how we feel and what we focus on. When you are watching, try to notice these changes. Does the camera zoom in when a character is about to share a secret? Does it pull back when they are feeling lost? This is the cinematographer telling the story through the camera lens. Light and shadow tell stories. Remember the lighthouse? The way the light and shadow were used was like another character. It wasn't just there to make things visible. It was creating the feeling of the movie. In a mystery movie, a detective might be shown in low-key lighting. We might only see their face with a little light, with shadows hiding their eyes. This makes them seem mysterious and maybe a bit dangerous, or perhaps just very thoughtful and weighed down by what they are trying to solve. It makes us lean in, trying to understand them, just like they are trying to understand the mystery. Compare that to a scene in a romantic comedy where 2 characters are falling in love. They might be covered in high-key lighting, perhaps with soft, warm light. This makes the scene feel bright, hopeful, and full of optimism. The lack of shadows suggests there are no hidden secrets or dangers. Everything is open and clear, just like their feelings for each other. Filmmakers use light and shadow to guide our feelings. A sudden change from bright light to deep shadow can cause a sudden scare or signal a change in mood. A character might walk from a well-lit area into darkness, showing they are entering a dangerous or unknown situation. Movement and perspective. How the camera guides us. Camera movement isn't just about showing you what's happening. It's about how you experience it. Imagine you are watching a scene where someone is being chased. If the camera is shaky and moved by hand, it can make you feel like you are right there, running with the characters. It creates a sense of urgency, confusion, and immediate danger. You feel the panic. Now, think about a scene where a character is walking slowly through a beautiful, peaceful place. A slow, smooth dolly shot moving with them can make you feel calm and thoughtful. It allows you to enjoy the scenery and share the character's peaceful moment. A low-angle shot that slowly moves up to show a very tall building can make that building seem incredibly large and powerful. Or, if it's a low-angle shot of a character who is supposed to be weak, it can make them seem threatening, almost like they are growing bigger and more scary before your eyes. These movements and angles are like the director whispering to you, "Look at this," or "Feel this way about that." They are done on purpose to shape what you see and how you feel. Questions to help you talk about movies. So, how do you start talking about cinematography? Here are a couple of questions that can help you move beyond just liking what you see. 1. What specific visual things stand out the most in this scene or movie, and how do they make you feel or understand things? When you watch a movie, try to stop and think, what did I just see that really caught my attention? Was it the way the light fell on someone's face? Was it a strange camera angle? Was it the colors? Once you notice something, ask yourself, how did that make me feel? Did it make me feel scared? Did it help me understand the character better? For example, if you saw a film with many extreme close-ups during an angry argument, you could say, the director used extreme close-ups on the characters' faces during their fight. This really made me feel the tension and anger between them because I could see every small expression and movement. 2. How does the way the movie looks help tell the story and show character development, or does it sometimes seem to work against them? This question asks you to think about why the visual choices were made. Does the way the movie looks help tell the story? Or does it sometimes feel like it doesn't match what's happening? Let's say a character is supposed to be a very brave hero, but the camera always films them from a high angle, making them look small and weak. You could then say, even though the story says the character is brave, the constant high-angle shots made them seem weak and not very heroic. The way it looked seemed to be working against what the character was supposed to be. Or, if a character is going through a really sad time. Conclusion. Imagine this. The movie ends, and you don't just say I liked it. Instead, you talk about how the story surprised you, how the pictures looked amazing, and why the characters did what they did. This book has helped you do just that. We learned that watching movies and TV can be more than just sitting and looking. By learning the special words for talking about movies, you can really get the stories, see how they were made, and share your love for them. You can now say more than just I liked it. You can explain why and how a movie made you feel or think. We went on a movie adventure together. We learned how stories are told, talking about the start, middle, and end. We saw how makers create excitement or surprise. We looked at characters, learning what makes a good person good, a bad person bad, and how characters change. We also learned to see the movie itself, how the camera is used, how scenes are put together, and how all the pictures tell the story. We even talked about different kinds of movies and how makers have different styles. Most importantly, you can now share what you think. You can say your ideas clearly and have good talks. This is because you learn the special words of Media Discourse English, the words that let us talk about movies and TV with confidence and clarity. This knowing is your tool to be an active watcher, not just someone who sits there. It helps you feel sure to share your thoughts, to meet other movie lovers, and to truly like the art of making movies. When you know the words makers and thinkers use, you can see the deeper meanings in every scene. Your movie nights will be more fun, your friendships stronger from sharing your love, and you'll feel part of a bigger group of people who love movies. This is the power of Media Discourse English. It's the path that connects your love for movies to good talks, turning someone who just watches into someone who thinks and talks well about them. Your trip into the world of movies and TV is not over. In fact, with what you know now, it's just starting. Keep watching with wonder and a thinking mind. Try using the words and phrases you learned when you talk to friends, family, or online. Don't be scared to try. Making mistakes is part of learning and will make you better. The world of movies is always changing, with new stories and new ways to tell them. Every movie you watch and every talk you have will make your understanding and your ability to speak even better. You now have the way to start deeper talks, have more enjoyable times, and feel more linked to the stories that move you. Use Media Discourse English as your ticket to a more lively and interesting world of movies and TV. Thank you for coming with me on this fun path. I'm excited to see how you use these skills to share your love and find even more in the magic of movies. Happy watching and happy talking.